Now call to order the Public Infrastructure and Utilities Committee meeting for Wednesday, October 29th. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Alderwoman Boyd,
Present.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, Vice Chair Schweitzer, Alderman Devotie,
Present.
Alderwoman Cox Antwi,
Present.
Chair Browning,
Present.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, Vice Chair Schweitzer. We have 4 present, we have a quorum.
Thank you. With that, we'll move to approval of the minutes. I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes of Wednesday, October 15th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
That's moved by the Alderwoman of the 8th, seconded by the Alderwoman of the 13th. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, Vice Chair Schweitzer, Alderman Devotie,
Aye.
Alderwoman Cox Antwi,
Aye.
Chair Browning,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, Vice Chair Schweitzer. We have 4 aye votes.
Thank you. With that, we'll move to board bills for review. We have 3 board bills here by Alderwoman Sagne. I think she's on her way, so I think we're going to go ahead and move to Board Bill 89. Alderwoman Cox Antwi, because you are in attendance today, you will take over the chairmanship while I present this bill. So handing that over to you.
All right. Alderman Browning, you are recognized. All right. Alderman Browning, you are recognized to introduce Board Bill 89.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Madam Clerk, would you please read the description of Board Bill 89?
Board Bill 89, introduced by Alderman Michael Browning, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Public Service of the City of St. Louis, establishing multiple public works and improvement projects for the Cass Avenue Multi-Model Corridor Transformation Phase 1, Traffic Management Enhancement Phase 9 on Skinker, McCausland, and the Christie Greenway Phase 2 within the City of St. Louis, the projects and containing an emergency clause.
Thank you. So as you can tell from the description, this is a board bill that has come our way that is allocating funding and moving things around so that we can do 3 projects. I think it's 3 different projects around the city. And to speak on this more, I have our John Kohler from our Board of Public Service here to provide any more info and answer any questions you might have. So with that, John.
Sure. Thank you, Alderman Browning. Good afternoon, members of the committee. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about these 3 capital improvement projects. They are all 3 associated with federal funding that's administered through our municipal planning organization, East-West Gateway Council of Governments. I'm going to briefly talk about each of the 3 projects and then open it up for any questions that you might have. The largest project involves the Cass Avenue Multimodal Corridor. This extends from Elliott on the west to Tucker near I-70 on the east. This is one of several commitments that the City of St. Louis made to fulfill the NGA relocation to North City. As many of you know, we've recently completed the Jefferson Corridor that runs north-south right past the NGA from I-64 to the Natural Bridge Corridor. This is the east-west promise on Cass. It'll connect from I-70 to the Jefferson, which is right adjacent to the NGA. But essentially, it's 1.25 miles along Cass, and it will provide access and multimodal transportation choices and connections to neighborhoods the intelligence agency, the NGA, different K-9 schools, many businesses and institutions along the route. We are looking at reducing the number of traffic lanes, integrating different traffic calming measures, all new lighting along the project, a dedicated shared use, multi-use path on the north side, all along the route. It will meet the needs of the people that live and work all along the corridor. Our second federally funded project in this bill involves Traffic Management Enhancement Phase 9, which is on Skinker and McCausland from Page to Canterbury, and then a piece on Arsenal connecting signals from McCausland to Ivanhoe. There are a total of 21 traffic signals along these routes that'll be rebuilt. We'll incorporate traffic camera monitors and other equipment along about 5 miles on the Skinker McCausland, and then that piece on Arsenal from McCausland to Ivanhoe. We'll also have fiber optic interconnection between the signals that provide system connectivity along the corridor, and will tie into the city's transportation management center. And that interconnection will allow us to optimize signal timing and reduce emissions and improve air quality associated with that congestion mitigation project. We'll also, as a secondary benefit, upgrade curb ramps at every signalized intersection to provide access for people with disabilities. And there's a piece on the north end of this job between Enright and Page that will incorporate a lane reduction, new sidewalks, and accessibility with some of the intersections along that northern section. And then lastly is the Christie Greenway Phase 2. This is an extension of GRG's original Phase 1, which went from River de Pere to Holly Hills. The city is undertaking a Phase 2 to extend all along Christie from Holly Hills up to the new traffic signal that was just built under the ARPA-funded Kings Highway project. This is about 1 mile long. It will incorporate a raised, separated, multi-use path all along this section, crossing Gravois and other intersections along the route. And we are very excited about all three of these projects, and we recommend the Board of Public Service that this committee pass along through ordinance. Thank you. And I'm available for any questions.
All right, and I think with that, we will open up for questions if there's any discussion, starting with Alderwoman Boyd. Alderwoman Boyd, do you have any questions?
No, John was very detailed in giving us the information, so I appreciate it. And I'm fine. Thank you.
All right, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, I know you just walked in, but I believe you would be next. If you have any questions, or we can come back to you if you'll take a minute.
I'm good because I was listening in. I was on earlier, so good to see you, John. I'm already signed on as a co-sponsor for this bill, but just for context for people that might be watching, can you give a little bit of background on how we get to these city capital projects, board capital projects like this?
Sure, that's a great question. So these are very competitive grants that the 5 counties in Missouri metropolitan and St. Louis metropolitan area compete through our municipal planning organization, East West Gateway, for limited federal funding. And every year there's various pots of funding available. The Signal project was associated with CMAQ, or Congestion Mitigation Air Quality. The CAS project was related to Surface Transportation Program funding. And then the last project, Christie, was associated with Transportation Alternative Program funding. We submit a very detailed application showing how we are addressing safety, how we're preserving the infrastructure, connecting to schools, and many different categories where we get points that East West Gateway uses to compare all the other region-wide applications. And every year there's different funding amounts for each funding pot, and we do very well with our applications and the amount of money that we get on a region-wide basis based on our population.
Thank you so much for that, and thank you for the work that you all helped us do on Skinker even prior to this project coming into play as it relates to safety, accessibility, and of course for our ADA, making sure that we're in compliance of that in those areas. Skinker gets overlooked. I know we talked about this before because it's by being a major thoroughfare and being so wide and so many lanes, it becomes a speedway so many times. So the things that you all are doing, the things that you worked with the residents over there to get done, in the interim with the bump outs and the medians and everything that get done have really helped. And I look forward to bringing this to them as well as we continue on the work. So thank you for everything you all doing.
Thank you very much.
Alderman Devoti.
Yes, John, it's always good to see you.
You
If you
too.
could give me some background, some education with respect to funding. Are these three projects funded in full by the feds? Does the city have any stake in these?
So generally speaking, the max federal amounts that are tied to these projects are 80% and 20% locally provided funds. That could be ward capital, could be city capital, could be private entities, Great Rivers Greenway, Greater St. Louis, Inc., various entities comprise the 20%. In some cases, like CAS, which is a larger project, the city of St. Louis, as is the other 4 counties, are limited in the size of a project and the amount of federal money that we can receive for any one given project. And that cap is 15% of the available funding for that funding source for that given year. So in the CAS example, we're actually providing NGA bonds to support a larger share than the 20%. But generally speaking, 80-20.
And then with respect to the 20, in these three projects, are the funds coming from ward capital, city capital, or something else? Can you educate us?
So going back to CAS, the lion's share is coming from 2 sources, NGA bonds and city capital. And I believe 200,000 from the impacted aldermen. That was a late contribution that we have earmarked to help support on CAS. On traffic management enhancement, we anticipate, right now we've got funding for design. The way this board bill is written, for any of you that dug into it, there's a fiscal note associated with it, and in that note is identified future funding needs through what I anticipate is city capital for that project, year 2 and 3, I believe. And then lastly, the Christie, I anticipate that will predominantly be city capital.
So, John, when the folks at BPS are looking at these projects, how do you determine where city capital is going to be spent with respect to any given potential project?
And before I answer that, just another comment on Christie and the funding source. The Transportation Alternative Program doesn't allow for paving. So in this case, the alderman, Alderwoman Ann Schweitzer, will likely fund the paving that's required to support this project, which is several hundreds of thousands of dollars. So there's other costs that complement the grant that's being awarded. So going back to your question on priorities, there are many factors that determine how we decide which are priority projects to submit. Many of them are associated with traffic crashes and fatalities, traffic volume, where does it make the most sense to spend city money on corridors? For example, sometimes the city has moved forward with studies that help inform the city as to what projects are thoroughly vetted or at least had some public engagement tied to it and some level of conceptual layout that helps elevate a project's priority, for example. But we look at a distribution on an equity basis, which projects should be considered for an entire city and not focus on any particular area. That's very important. But several factors as to which ones we pursue under which funding pot.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And thank you, John, for the detailed walkthrough and presentation today. I don't have many questions. I do appreciate the thoroughness of this bill. I was following exhibits as you noted here and as you talked about each of the 3 different projects. So I know a lot of work goes into these and I appreciate that. The one question I do have for you, and I recognize these projects have very long time horizons and you may not have the estimates, but if you could briefly walk through the anticipated duration of the projects for each of the 3, I think that will be helpful too to note for the public if they may be watching.
That's a very good question, a very often misunderstood component of a federally funded project. And I've been doing this for the city for 21 years now, and I've got a good history of what it takes to process a federally funded project. And I'll start the clock ticking at the time that we submit an application to East West Gateway, which is usually in the February timeframe. And depending upon which funding source and what project type it is, generally speaking, it takes, on average, 5 to 7 years between the time that we submit an application to when the project's complete. If there's problems with rights-of-way or major bridge projects that are $20, $30 million, it could take longer. But generally speaking, it's in that 5 to 7. Could be 4, but that's a rarity, usually 5 to 6 or 7.
Thank you very much for that clarification. If there are no further questions from the committee, Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment?
We have none.
If there are no further questions from the committee, Alderman Browning, you're recognized. Close.
Thank you, and thank you to John. Really appreciate the thorough overview as well as the additional education on things happen. I'm very excited to be able to sponsor this. It's always good to be able to improve safety on our streets as well as accessibility, and I ask for your favorable consideration.
All right, I will now accept a motion on Board Bill 89.
I move that we pass Board Bill 89 with a due pass recommendation.
Is there a
Second.
All right, Madam Clerk, if you could please call the roll.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Vice Chair Schweitzer, Alderman Devoting,
Aye.
Alderwoman Cox Entry,
Aye.
Chair Browning,
Aye.
Vice Chair Schweitzer. We have 5 aye votes.
Thank you. Congratulations, Alderman.
Thank you.
Okay, and with that, we will move on with the agenda. Next, we have Board Bill 13, introduced by Alderwoman Alicia Sanye. Alderwoman, you are recognized on Board Bill 13.
Thank you. Hello, members of the committee, chairman. Board Bill 13 is actually the first that I've done of its kind. Apparently, as alders, we have the ability to pass legislation that essentially makes certain parcels within our wards to not be public responsibility or city responsibility. And so on February 19th, 1981, we took a vote as the Board of Aldermen to do that, to remove that from city responsibility, which essentially takes away surface responsibility. The way that impacts residents is it means that portion is not eligible for certain public services such as like paving or requesting for potholes to be fixed or whatever other kind of pedestrian, equestrian types of things should happen on that parcel. Unfortunately, I do not have context of why we did that on February 19th. I was born in 95 and I'm here before you today in 2025, but it has come up from residents enough, especially as we get into capital planning and looking at, their ability to call and request certain services, that it's been a barrier. So I'm hoping with you all's vote today to restore it to being a city's responsibility.
Thank you. And with that, unless you have any speakers, we'll go to questions. We'll start with the most senior of our members, Alderwoman Boyd.
Thank you, Alderwoman Sanye. I just want to ask a question. So explain what this is you're doing.
So in February 19th, 1981, we passed legislation here that took away the parts that are outlined in the bill, which is basically St. Vincent and Park Avenue on the 2700 block. It took away the city's responsibility for caring for it. And so that meant that it was their residents have to privately care for it. So they can't request paving, they can't request potholes to be fixed here or other public services because it's technically not the city's responsibility. This came to my attention because I got calls from constituents who were saying that they weren't getting certain services and weren't sure why. And so after banging my head on the wall for a while, did some digging, talked to the streets department, talked to some city departments, and learned that it was because it was officially not a part of the city's responsibility. So in order for certain services or like for me to request paving there and other things, we would have to readopt it via the bill that's in front of you all.
So was it an organization that created that to be a private entity? Because that's what it sounded like.
I could not find any record. I talked to residents, some of which who've been there for quite a long time, including the specific resident who gave me a call and reached out is actually a woman who's been in her home for over 20 years, but we couldn't find any record or information as to kind of why this decision was made back then. No one that I talked to kind of within departments could really remember. It is a bill that was filed by the alderperson at that time and voted on by our board, but I am not sure what the purpose of that was.
Okay, that's weird. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I was just checking it out on the line. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
No questions, thank you.
Alderman Devotie,
No questions.
Alderwoman Cox Antwi.
No questions.
I also don't have any questions. It looks like maybe it could have been a development or something that wanted it vacated, but that's no longer applicable, and it otherwise looks like a very publicly accessible alley, so it would make sense that we'd want the city services to resume there, including maybe even paving someday. So I don't have any questions and happy to support this. Do we have any public comment?
We have none.
Okay, with that, Alderwoman, you are recognized to close.
Well, thank you all for having me before you all today. I'm always very interested at the things we have the authority to do and why and what might have happened. I really am curious what happened here. This is an active neighborhood. So it could have been at that time, maybe there was like a proposed development project. There also used to kind of be some housing associations that used to exist. So I couldn't figure it out, but I'm glad that we're going to be solving it today. And I look forward to calling the constituent who called me and letting her know, hey, we passed out a committee today and we'll be perfecting you.
Excellent. With that, I'll accept a motion for a due pass recommendation for Board Bill 13.
I move that we pass Board Bill 13 with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
It's moved by the Alderwoman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 8th. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Alderwoman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderwoman
I'm
Clark
trying to-
Hubbard.
Yeah.
Vice Chair Switzer. Alderman Devoti.
Aye.
Alderwoman Cox Santwy.
Aye.
Chair Browning.
Aye.
Vice Chair Switzer. We have 5 aye votes.
Congratulations, Alderwoman. This is passed out with a due pass recommendation. And with that, we'll move to the next item, which is also one of yours, Board Bill 75. You are recognized on 75.
Thank you, Chair. So I have a process that I discussed when I was before you all, I think last year as well, where I have sort of a traffic calming request form. As you all know, as alders, we could be at the grocery store and someone will be like, I want a speed hump, I want a stop sign. You're at, National Night Out and it comes up. So I have a form where I kind of track requests and track them by neighborhood. A lot of my constituents, you never want a certain neighborhood to feel like you have a favorite or to not have a clear process. So it allows me to track it and also look at overlapping requests. And then I take all of what has been requested, work with the departments to figure out what makes sense where. And so this stop sign that I'm asking for to be placed on Virginia in Cherokee is to turn it into a 4-way stop sign here. I think we all know kind of what the purpose of stop signs, but to make it a 4-stop intersection, it just gets a lot of active traffic, a lot of folks going really fast. And so I think it does need to be turned into a 4-way to mitigate some of the issues, including not that long ago, just a child on a bike that had a really close encounter, which caused a lot of residents to start to, reach out and ask about what could be done.
Excellent. We'll go through the committee and see if anyone has any questions. Alderwoman Boyd?
Yes, Alderwoman Sonia, is this a busy intersection?
It is like fairly busy depending on where it is. I think a lot of the issue is that it's not far from like a school and also a senior citizen area. And so it has very busy times where folks who move a little bit slower go, and drivers in the city of St. Louis, it shows that we don't have driver's education often when we're on our streets. So it's not busy at all times, but it has certain times that are very busy specifically at that intersection and has just been really close to an issue. So I'm hoping before we even have an issue, we can turn to a 4-way stop sign to encourage folks to slow it down and stop.
Okay, too bad we don't have humongous stop signs. Maybe they'll see that.
Right.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard?
No questions, thank you.
Alderman Devoti?
No questions.
Alderwoman Cox Santwy?
No questions, but Alderwoman, you and I share Cherokee Street, so I just want to add to the record that I think this intersection is very busy and it's a high residential access point. So I think this decision makes a lot of sense, and I'm happy to support it.
Thank you.
And I would agree. I am looking at the intersection now, and Cherokee can be a very busy street. It's a couple blocks away from a lot of retail and school and senior citizen residences. So thank you for looking out for the safety of your residents. With that, do we have any public comment?
We have none.
Okay. With that, Alderwoman, you're recognized to close.
Here's to a safer Cherokee Street and safer streets for all of us, and to people seeing the stop sign and actually stopping.
All right, with that, I'll accept a due pass recommendation or a motion to pass Board Bill 75 with the due pass recommendation.
So moved.
Moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, moved by the Alderwoman from the 13th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 8th. Is there a call for previous roll?
Previous row.
Previous roll from the Alderwoman from the 10th. Hearing no objection, congratulations, Alderwoman. And with that, we'll move to the last of your three bills, Board Bill 85. You are recognized.
Thank you. I feel like I'm you guys' special honored guest today for this committee. This bill is for speed humps, something we're all familiar with. It is 19 speed humps just kind of placed in various neighborhoods throughout our area. Like I hinted to earlier, I have a process where people kind of go about requesting. And so for this year, I'm hoping to focus. Obviously, speed humps are needed and also some paving, but this is to go ahead and get the speed hump process started. Most of these requests all came from residents themselves. They've been verified with the department already that they're ready, and a few of them have also just been streets that have seen kind of, I try to look at fatality and incident data and keep that in mind when we're putting these in place. So some of these streets are ones where you regularly get people just speeding down them like crazy and cars hit as they drive by, or other instances. So we're hoping that this can help with that throughout the ward.
Great. And with that, we'll see if the committee has any questions. Alderwoman Boyd.
No questions.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
No questions, thank you.
Alderman Devoti.
No questions.
Alderwoman Cox Antwi.
No questions.
I also do not have any questions, and you are, well, is there any public comment?
We have none.
Okay, you recognize to close.
Thank you all for having me before you today. Here's to more speed humps in the 7th, and one day maybe a citywide holistic traffic planning plan.
Excellent. With that, I'll accept a recommendation to pass Board Bill 85 out of committee with a do pass recommendation.
I move that we pass Board Bill 85 with the due pass
Second, previous roll.
Moved by the Alderman from the 10th, seconded by the Alderman from the 8th, and a call for previous roll. Hearing no objection, congratulations, Alderwoman.
Thank you.
Who called for previous row?
Alderman from the 8th. And with that, we will move on with the agenda. We do not have any resolutions for review today. We don't have any committee discussions on the agenda. Has there been any written testimony, Madam Clerk?
We have none.
With that, does any member have any announcements? With that, I'll announce if you are interested in how the money for tornado relief is being spent, we do have a budget committee hearing tonight at 6 p.m. in this very room and online. So if you would like an update on that, that will be a good chance to hear the progress we are making. And with that, I will excuse Alderwoman from the 1st for necessary absence. And with that, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by the Alderman from the 8th, seconded from the Alderman from the 10th. Call previous roll.
Previous roll.
We are adjourned.